The call came at 7:43 a.m. on a Tuesday, exactly 6 months and 8 days after they restructured my position. Klaus Weber, heavy German accent, very polite. Mr. Steele, we have discovered a significant problem with Phoenix Aerospace's compliance status. Are you available to discuss? I was drinking coffee in my small office above O'Brien's Tavern, watching the sunrise over the Dallas skyline. 6 months earlier, I had been Phoenix's compliance director. Now I was about to find out they'd made a $285 million mistake. My name's Warren Steele, 54, and I've been keeping aerospace companies legally compliant for 12 years. Before that, I spent 22 years in the Navy nuclear program, making sure reactors didn't melt down and weapons systems stayed secure. Same principle, different uniform. When something breaks in nuclear engineering, people die. When compliance breaks in aerospace manufacturing, companies die. The day that started this whole mess was a Tuesday, too. Jared Whitfield walked into our quarterly safety meeting and called my compliance team legacy protocols blocking innovation velocity. I knew right then Phoenix Aerospace was heading for a containment breach. Jared had that entitled MBA energy you see everywhere now, expensive suit, Apple Watch, and the kind of confidence that comes from never actually failing at anything that mattered. CEO's nephew, newly appointed VP of Digital Transformation. Whatever that meant in a 98-year-old aerospace manufacturing company. He didn't shake hands when introduced. He gave finger waves and said things like disruptive innovation and operational agility while sipping a $15 green smoothie like he'd invented efficiency. Nobody asked him to present that day. Nobody stopped him either. He clicked through a PowerPoint titled Streamlining Legacy Functions Phase 1. Phase 1, it turned out, was gutting my department. I'd been Phoenix's named ITAR compliance officer for 12 years. That's 12 years of building safety protocols from scratch, watching regulatory changes sweep through aerospace manufacturing, documenting every scenario the FAA, OSHA, and Department of Defense could throw at us. I had 6 external audits under my belt with 0 violations. My filing system was organized like a nuclear submarine's engineering logs, everything labeled, dated, cross-referenced. Jared didn't even know what ITAR meant. I watched him Google it during the meeting. That morning, he stood there grinning with his uncle's company credit card called Compliance Legacy Overhead Blocking Innovation Velocity and suggested we automate oversight using AI solutions. My department was redundant, he said, overstaffed. My $92,000 salary plus $12,500 in benefits eliminated. That's $104,500 in annual savings, he bragged. Almost a full marketing budget upgrade. Someone actually clapped. I didn't. I just capped my pen and asked, "Are we done here?" Jared left with his spreadsheet and a satisfied little nod. I went back to my office and opened a fresh binder. It wasn't anger, it wasn't even surprise. It was protocol, Navy habit. When someone's about to make a catastrophic mistake, you document everything and prepare for damage control. I started backing up files, every access credential, every compliance designation, every legal document where my name appeared as the responsible authority. Most people at Phoenix didn't realize our entire regulatory framework still required my formal signature. Every quarterly filing, every safety certification, every ITAR response had Warren Steele listed as primary contact. No replacement had been designated. Nobody could replace me without board approval and formal reassignment paperwork filed within 21 calendar days. But Jared didn't know that. His uncle Richard, the CEO, probably didn't either. At first, I thought someone would pump the brakes. Maybe HR would hesitate. Maybe Richard, who once called me the guy who keeps us out of federal prison, might speak up, but nothing. HR sent the reclassification paperwork 4 days later, my new title, Senior Administrative Coordinator. My security clearance was downgraded. My invitations to leadership meetings disappeared overnight. I nodded, no complaints, even congratulated Jared when he bragged about hitting his first efficiency target. He actually gave me a thumbs up and called me Warren S. So I printed the original ITAR designation letter, the one signed by the board in 2018, and emailed it to my personal account with a timestamp. Then I printed 2 copies. One went into my home filing cabinet, the other into a binder labeled Regulatory Continuity, Archive Only, and quietly placed it in the legal department storage room. 4th shelf, left side, I didn't tell anyone. See, people think revenge needs to be loud, dramatic exits and angry speeches about being unappreciated. But nobody appreciates a landmine either until someone steps on it. The real beauty was in section 12.3 of our business continuity plan, a clause I'd added 4 years ago after watching a competitor get hammered with $4.2 million in fines for improper compliance handoffs. It stated that any change to the named compliance officer must be formally reassigned by board resolution within 21 calendar days, or the designation becomes legally invalid retroactive to the vacancy date. Aerospace manufacturing compliance fines start at $15,000 per day for minor violations. After 90 days of continued violation, they escalate to $35,000 per day. The math gets ugly fast. Jared had no idea. Legal hadn't checked. Richard just signed off on the efficiency report without reading the details. 6 weeks after the streamlining, I submitted my resignation. Clean and simple. Effective 14 days from today, I will be stepping down from my position at Phoenix Aerospace Manufacturing. That's it. No drama, no exit interview demands, no company-wide email about being undervalued. They processed it like routine paperwork, disabled my access by end of day. The IT ticket was so rushed, they misspelled my name and forgot to update the compliance registry. My son Danny called that night to check on me. He's 28 now, graduated from University of Texas with mechanical engineering, works for a defense contractor in Austin. Smart kid, smarter than his old man in most ways. But he inherited my attention to detail. His boy Oliver just turned 12, already building model airplanes and asking technical questions that would stump most adults. Dad, you sure about this? What about the mortgage? Sarah's worried about job hunting at 54. Trust me, son, this is going to work out. Your old man didn't spend 22 years in the nuclear navy without learning how to plan for contingencies. Sounds like you've got something up your sleeve. Just following proper procedures. Sometimes that's all it takes. My wife Sarah wasn't as confident. We'd been married 28 years, and she'd seen me through enough career transitions to know when I was taking calculated risks. That weekend, she found me in the garage organizing my Navy documents and old compliance manuals. Warren, what exactly are you planning? She asked, watching me sort through boxes of technical certifications, setting up for the next phase. Phoenix made a mistake they don't know about yet. When they figure it out, they'll need help. And if they don't, then someone else will. That weekend, I updated my profile on the Federal Compliance Registry, setting my certification to active, executive designation relinquished, no replacement filed, effective day 28. Then I registered as an independent consultant specializing in crisis compliance recovery. 24 hours later, my phone started ringing. By Monday, I had 4 serious inquiries, 2 from law firms representing companies in regulatory trouble, 1 from a boutique consulting group, and 1 from a Japanese aerospace conglomerate that specialized in acquiring American mid-market manufacturers. That last one made me smile. Across town, Phoenix hummed along without missing a beat. No exit procedures, no knowledge transfer, no replacement training. Jared was already planning phase 2 of his optimization strategy. Richard started talking about the company's new agility mindset in industry interviews. Nobody noticed the compliance clock ticking toward day 22. I set up shop in a small office above O'Brien's Tavern on Commerce Street, 2 desks, a coffee maker that worked half the time, and a view of the old TI campus. Rent was $1,200 a month. My first consulting contract paid $225 per hour. The math worked better than my old salary. Every morning I'd walk downstairs and get coffee from Mickey, old Irish guy who'd run the place for 30 years. We'd talk about the Cowboys, the weather, sometimes about business. He knew I'd left Phoenix, but didn't pry. Navy guys understand when someone doesn't want to talk about work. You know, Warren, Mickey said one morning, my father worked the oil rigs in East Texas. 38 years, never missed a day. When they automated those platforms, he said something I'll never forget. What's that? The young ones think they can build better than the old ones, but they never ask why the old ones built it that way in the first place. Day 43 of Phoenix's compliance violation, I got a call from an aerospace fabrication company in Colorado. Their compliance officer had quit without notice, and they were facing a DoD audit in 6 weeks. Panic mode. I quoted them $275 per hour plus expenses for a 5-week emergency engagement. They said yes before I finished the sentence. The work was familiar, reviewing safety protocols, updating documentation, preparing audit responses. But there was something satisfying about being wanted again, about companies calling me directly, because they knew my reputation. Word spreads fast in the aerospace compliance community. When someone can clean up regulatory messes quickly and thoroughly, referrals follow. Day 67, I was on a plane to California helping a defense contractor navigate an ITR investigation. Their previous compliance team had missed a filing deadline. The potential fines were in the millions. My job was to reconstruct their documentation trail and prove good faith compliance efforts. Navy precision and attention to detail. Same skills, different battlefield. During the flight back to Dallas, I called Danny to check on Oliver's science fair project. The kid was building a working model of a jet engine, complete with thrust vectoring. Grandpa, can you help me with the safety calculations? Dad says you know more about engine compliance than anyone. I'll be there Saturday, Oliver. Bring your notebook and we'll work through the stress analysis together. Dad says you used to work on nuclear reactors in the Navy. Is that like jet engines? Same principles, different application. Both need precise engineering and proper safety protocols. Cut corners with either one and people get hurt. Day 89, the escalating fine structure kicked in for Phoenix. Not that anyone there knew it yet. Aerospace manufacturing compliance violations become exponentially more expensive. After 90 days, the daily penalty jumped from $15,000 to $35,000. Still invisible, still accumulating, still retroactive to the day my authorization expired. Day 95, I was back in Dallas when Danny called with news. He'd been accepted into a specialized aerospace compliance program at UT's engineering school. New field, growing demand, excellent job prospects. Guess who inspired me to look into it, he said. Your old man's rubbing off on you. More like I realize there's job security in keeping people out of trouble. Plus, the starting salaries are really good. Professor says with all these international companies buying American aerospace plants, they need people who understand both sides. Danny was right. The aerospace industry was changing. Foreign companies with deep pockets were snapping up American manufacturers, but they needed local expertise to navigate federal regulations. Someone who understood both the technical requirements and the business impact. Oliver's excited too. He wants to study aerospace engineering now, says he wants to work on jets like Grandpa did with submarines. That made me smile. 3 generations of engineers, each building on what came before. Some traditions are worth preserving. Day 12, Ihinis, Phoenix announced the deal of the century. Press release went out at 9 a.m. Phoenix Aerospace Manufacturing to be acquired by Yamato Industrial Corporation for $285 million. The story made the Dallas Business Journal front page. Richard was quoted extensively about Phoenix's innovative operational transformation under new leadership. Jared was quoted too. He'd positioned himself as the architect of Phoenix's lean operational model that attracted international attention. The article mentioned his strategic elimination of redundant legacy functions as a key factor in Yamato's interest. I read it over my morning coffee at O'Brien's. Mickey saw me smiling at the newspaper. Good news, he asked. You could say that. Sometimes patience pays off. My grandfather used to say something else about the oil business. The drill that bites deepest finds the oil, but if you don't follow proper procedures, the whole rig comes down. Sarah called that afternoon, excited about the Phoenix news. Warren, maybe this means they'll want you back. You could probably negotiate a better position now. I don't think so, honey. They made their choice. Besides, I've got other plans developing. The Japanese company you mentioned, among others. Let's see how this plays out. Day 135. The due diligence team from Yamato Industrial Corporation arrived in Dallas. Professional, thorough, and led by a woman named Dr. Ingrid Fischer, who spoke 4 languages and had the kind of attention to detail that made German engineering legendary. Her team included Klaus Weber, a compliance specialist who'd spent 15 years auditing American acquisitions for European aerospace companies. They spent the first week reviewing financial records, operational metrics, and safety protocols. Everything looked clean. Jared had prepared beautiful presentations about streamlined operations and reduced overhead. The numbers were impressive, the timeline was aggressive. Richard had already started talking about integration plans. Yamato executives were optimistic. This looked like exactly the kind of lean, efficient American aerospace manufacturer they wanted in their portfolio. Phoenix's management team was confident. Legal had reviewed everything twice. The deal was on track for closing in 2 weeks. Meanwhile, I was fielding calls from 3 different aerospace companies looking for compliance directors. Word had gotten out about my availability, and my reputation for fixing regulatory problems was attracting serious interest. One offer came with a $130,000 base salary plus bonuses. Another included relocation to Seattle and equity participation. The third was a consulting arrangement that would pay more than both combined. Sarah and I discussed the options over dinner. Any of these sound appealing, she asked. They're all good opportunities, but I have a feeling something bigger is coming. You're waiting for Phoenix to realize their mistake. I'm waiting for the right opportunity to present itself. Phoenix is just one possibility. Day 14-9, exactly 21 compliance cycles since my designation had been terminated without replacement. Klaus Weber was in Phoenix's legal archive room cross-referencing regulatory filings with personnel records. Routine due diligence, nothing unusual. He wasn't looking for problems, just verifying that all certifications were current and properly maintained. That's when he found my binder. 4th shelf, left side, exactly where I'd left it 5 months earlier. Regulatory continuity, archive only. Klaus opened it and started reading the original ITAR designation letter. The business continuity plan with Section 12.3 highlighted the timeline requirements, the board resolution from 2018 that was never superseded. Klaus spent an hour going through every document. Then he cross-referenced the dates with Phoenix's current compliance registry. Then he called Dr. Fisher. The math was simple and brutal. Day 22 through day 14.8 equals 127 days of compliance violation. First 90 days at $15,000 per day equals $1,350,000. Remaining 37 days at $35,000 per day equals $1,295,000. Total exposure, $2,645,000, and climbing at $35,000 per day until resolved. But it got worse, because no replacement had been designated. Every regulatory filing, every safety certification, every compliance document submitted during those 127 days was legally invalid. Phoenix had been misrepresenting its regulatory standing to customers, insurers, and potential buyers for over 4 months, including Yamato Industrial Corporation. Klaus immediately called his team leader. Within an hour, Dr. Fisher had assembled an emergency meeting with her legal advisors. By evening, 3 Yamato corporate attorneys were on flights to Dallas. The preliminary acquisition agreement included standard clauses about material misrepresentation. This looked like exactly that kind of violation. Oliver called that night to update me on his jet engine project. "Grandpa, I finished the safety calculations you helped me with. My teacher says it's the most thorough analysis she's ever seen from a middle school student. That's because you learn to check your work twice and document everything. Those habits will serve you well in engineering. Dad says you might be getting a new job soon. Something about Phoenix needing help. We'll see, Oliver. Sometimes the best opportunities come when you least expect them." Day 149, Thursday morning, 9:15 a.m., Klaus Weber walked into the Phoenix boardroom, carrying a folder that would destroy everything Jared had built. "Who is Warren Steele?" he asked, setting the folder on the conference table. Jared looked confused. "He used to work here. We restructured his position last year as part of our operational optimization. But he is still listed as your named ITAR compliance officer," Klaus said, opening the folder. "According to your federal registry in this documentation, he remains the designated authority for all regulatory filings." Richard leaned forward. "That's impossible. We handled his transition months ago." Klaus wasn't smiling. "Where is the board resolution replacing him? The formal reassignment documentation? The updated federal notifications?" Silence. Jared started typing frantically on his phone. Richard was already reaching for his. Legal was called out of another meeting. HR scrambled to find records that didn't exist. "We assumed the transition was automatic when we restructured his role. Someone from HR offered weekly." Klaus shook his head. "Federal compliance designations are never automatic. They require explicit board action and formal replacement within 21 calendar days. You have been operating without valid compliance authority for exactly 127 days over 6 complete compliance cycles." Dr. Fisher, who had been quietly reviewing Klaus's findings, looked up from her laptop. "This represents a material misrepresentation of regulatory standing during preliminary negotiations. Jared tried to salvage the situation. It's just paperwork. We can fix this in a day. Bring Warren back, file the forms, move forward." "No," Dr. Fisher said firmly, "you cannot retroactively fix federal compliance violations. Aerospace manufacturing compliance fines escalate after 90 days. Your current exposure is $2,645,000, increasing by $35,000 daily." The room went dead quiet. Richard's face had gone gray. "Surely we can resolve this. It's a procedural oversight." Klaus opened his laptop and turned the screen toward the table. "Your compliance violations create significant liability exposure for any acquiring entity. But more concerning is the pattern of misrepresentation. Mr. Steele left detailed documentation showing that proper procedures were available and ignored." He clicked to the next slide. "Section 12.3 of your own business continuity plan, authored by Mr. Steele, explicitly outlines the 21-day requirement. This was not an oversight. This was negligence." Jared's voice cracked slightly. "We didn't see that documentation. It was filed in your legal archive with clear labeling," Klaus replied. "Mr. Steele followed proper procedure. Your organization did not." Dr. Fisher closed her laptop slowly. "This is a material breach of due diligence representations. We need to pause acquisition proceedings pending legal review." That afternoon, Klaus called me directly, professional courtesy, he said. "Wanted to understand the timeline of my departure and the transition procedures that were supposed to be followed." I was in my office above O'Brien's working on a compliance manual for a client in Arizona. The call was expected. I'd been counting days on my calendar, watching the violation accumulate like compound interest. Mr. Steele, this is Klaus Weber from Yamato Industrial Corporation. We are reviewing Phoenix Aerospace's regulatory standing as part of acquisition due diligence. Yes, sir. How can I help you? Can you confirm the timeline of your departure and any transition procedures that were implemented? I gave him the dates, restructured on day 1, resigned effective day 42, final day 56, explained the proper procedures, confirmed that no formal replacement had ever been designated. When he asked if I'd attempted to notify Phoenix of the compliance gap, I mentioned the binder regulatory continuity, archive only. 4th shelf left side in legal storage should still be there. We found it, Klaus said. Very thorough documentation. Section 12.3 of the business continuity plan appears to address this exact scenario. Yes, sir. I wrote that clause in 2018 after watching a competitor get hit with $422 million in fines for improper compliance handoff. Seemed like prudent risk management. Indeed. Are you currently available for consulting engagement? Depends on the scope and timeline. What did you have in mind? Day 150. Friday morning, Dr. Fisher called an emergency meeting. Richard, Jared, the board, legal counsel, everyone who mattered. She laid out the situation in terms that left no room for interpretation. Phoenix Aerospace has been operating in violation of federal compliance requirements for 127 days. The regulatory fines currently total $2,645,000 and increase by $35,000 daily until resolved. Jared started to interrupt. Dr. Fisher held up her hand. Furthermore, every compliance document submitted during this period is legally invalid. This includes safety certifications, environmental filings, and regulatory representations made to Yamato Industrial Corporation during preliminary negotiations. Richard's voice was barely a whisper. What does this mean for the acquisition? It means the acquisition is terminated, Dr. Fisher said flatly, effective immediately. Our legal team has identified material misrepresentation that creates unacceptable liability exposure. The Yamato team was packed and gone by noon. Their final act was to formally notify Phoenix's board that due diligence had revealed material compliance violations and misrepresentation of regulatory standing. The press release went out Monday morning. Yamato Industrial Corporation withdraws from Phoenix Aerospace acquisition due to unresolved regulatory compliance issues. Phoenix stock opened down 22% and kept falling. By market close, it had dropped 38% in a single day. Tuesday morning, my phone rang again. Dr. Fisher, this time Mr. Steele, Yamato Industrial Corporation is interested in retaining your services for a comprehensive compliance review of our North American operations. 18-month contract, $225 per hour, full autonomy over methodology and timeline. Are you available? I looked around my little office. Coffee maker that worked half the time, view of downtown Dallas, and a stack of consulting contracts that had tripled my old salary. Yes, ma'am. I'm available. 6 months later, I was sitting in my new office at Yamato Industrial Corporation North American headquarters in Dallas. Corner office, 15th floor, view of the Trinity River. My assignment was simple. Review compliance procedures for all Yamato U.S. aerospace facilities and recommend improvements. Phoenix Aerospace was officially delisted from NASDAQ. The company had been sold in pieces to various buyers, none of whom wanted the compliance liability that came with the corporate entity. Richard moved to Florida. Jared's LinkedIn profile said he was exploring new opportunities in operational excellence consulting. Danny called that weekend excited about completing his first semester in the compliance engineering program. He'd already lined up a summer internship with a major defense contractor. Oliver had won his school's science fair with the jet engine project and was talking about visiting his grandpa's new office to learn about real aerospace compliance. Dad, Danny said, Oliver's teacher asked if you'd speak to her engineering club about career paths. She says parents are always asking how to prepare kids for technical careers that won't be automated away. Tell her I'd be happy to. Experience and judgment aren't going anywhere. Machines can process data, but they can't replace the guy who knows why the procedures were written that way in the first place. Some people spend their careers trying to be seen. I spent mine knowing where the emergency exits were located. My mistake at Phoenix was assuming someone else would read the safety manual when I left. They didn't replace me, they erased me. And like any good safety protocol, the consequences were built right into the system. Look, if you're over 50 and someone's calling your experience outdated overhead, pay attention. Companies that don't respect institutional knowledge are walking toward a cliff. Document everything. Follow procedures. Build your own safety net, because when their shortcuts catch up with them, you'll be the one they call to clean up the mess. The question isn't whether they'll need you again. The question is whether you'll still be available when they figure that out.
Don't pity me. My heart doesn't need your mercy. I can still stand on my own. I was broken by your leaving, fell deeper than I thought I would. But pain has taught me how to heal now and survive what once I couldn't. You don't have to look back sadly, don't reach out with guilty hands. What you shattered made me stronger. Now I rise where I once collapsed. My heart doesn't need your pity, not another empty sign. I've got enough strength left within me to rebuild this life of mine. My feet are steady through the sorrow, I can stand through all the pain. You don't have to save me, darling, I'll learn to breathe again. I once begged for your affection, now I've learned my worth in scars. And the man you left in pieces found his own way through the dark. My heart doesn't need your pity, not another empty sign. I've got enough strength left within me to rebuild this life of mine. My feet are steady through the sorrow, I can stand through all the pain. You don't have to save me, darling, I'll learn to breathe again. My heart doesn't need your pity, not another empty sign. I've got enough strength left within me to rebuild this life of mine. My feet are steady through the sorrow, I can stand through all the pain. You don't have to save me, darling, I'll rise alone again. I'll rise alone again. They say just forget, move on like it's easy. But forgetting you feels like remembering someone I've never seen. I've been trying to erase you from the places in my mind, but the harder that I fight it, the more you're hard to leave behind. Every memory keeps slipping through the cracks I try to close, like a face I should remember, but somehow never know. Forgetting you feels impossible, like chasing something I can't hold, like trying to remember someone that I've never even known. I keep reaching through the silence for a past I can't undo, 'cause letting go of what we had feels like losing something true. Every moment turns to fragments, every thought just fades to blue, like I'm searching for a feeling that still only leads to you. Forgetting you feels impossible, like chasing something I can't hold, like trying to remember someone that I've never even known. I keep reaching through the silence for a past I can't undo, 'cause letting go of what we had feels like losing something true. But now every empty moment still reminds me what is real. Forgetting you feels impossible, like chasing something I can't hold, like trying to remember someone that I've never even known. I keep reaching through the silence for a past I can't undo, 'cause letting go of what we had feels like losing something